Hello, hello. Hi, everybody.
Or maybe we should say, howdy. It's the Wild West out here.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Round of applause. Very
Thank
nice
you.
one.
I'll
I
be
love
here all
it.
day. I'll
Yeah,
be here
that
all
was
day.
great.
Yeah.
We're also matching. Um,
Yes.
that was
We,
totally accidental because neither of us saw each other before we went off to work. Um, so
yeah.
divine connection.
Yeah.
Not surprising there. Well, today we were talking about an interesting topic, and it's funny because I literally was just talking to somebody about this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it comes up on almost every single networking call that I'm on,
Mm-hmm.
every consult that I'm on, and it's the concept of it is the Wild West out here. What do I mean by that? Well, what is the Wild West known for? The Wild West is, there's no one governing the people per se. There's no, um, you could walk up and tell someone you're a cowboy, and if you look the part, then you get the part.
Yeah.
There's not. There's a bit of an anarchy that happens in
Yeah.
the Wild
That's
West.
a good word. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Kind of.
And so, what we're tying this into today is people have become really, really good at talking the talk, but walking the walk is they can't do it. They stumble. They don't deliver on what they're
Yeah.
promoting themselves as being able to do so. And we're going to talk about this from two different sides. You're going to talk about it from a coaching side, and I probably
Mm-hmm.
will, touch on that too. But and I'm going to talk about it from more of like a contractor consultant side because there's so many people that need help with so many things right now that they're looking for people to help them. And what do they do, or how do they figure out who is full of shit and who is legitimate? And
Well,
honestly, there
yeah.
isn't necessarily even a good answer. But at least today we'll have that conversation of what that looks like, what it sounds like, and kind of go into maybe even some of the things that we look for um, when looking for somebody to work with.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is that I think it's not just even two perspectives. We're actually going to shift, probably just go back and forth and talk about that third perspective of the consumer, the person looking for whatever it is that you
Right.
need, and what are the things that you should be aware of or could be aware of that might help you make decisions, right decisions, better decisions. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and anyone out there that is watching us, please, let us know that you're here. Let us know that where you're from. Share this out. Definitely hit your notifications. And also, if you know somebody who's looking for somebody or looking for something that they're having to research and they don't know what's real, what's true, and what isn't, share this out to them because that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we want to hear your good, bad, and probably some kind of ugly situations. No names. You don't have to, name anybody, but if you want to talk about a situation, we certainly can do that. So
I'm going to stop us right there because we did not introduce ourselves. And so if there's anyone new watching, they're going, who are these people?
who are these people?
Why don't you kick us off?
Okay, I'm Michelle Barone, and I am from Moksha Grace Coaching. And I have a background in, motherhood, relationships, healthcare from the advocate perspective, and also, obviously, we've all been a part of healthcare in some way, shape, or form. And I have just been a forever advocate in helping people without a voice have a voice. And it has led me to the coaching world. And now I work with clients to help them manage their emotions, give their emotions actually a voice so that they don't have temper tantrums when you least expect it and cause all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I just want to touch on you also have a fantastic community that you started recently, a couple months
Thank
ago or
you.
a month ago, called the Odonata community. We'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. But if you want to jumpstart that
Yeah.
information is on her website at mokshagrace.com. And if you cannot tell by that, I am not only the Moksha Grace Coaching COO, but I am also a fractional COO and operations consultant. I work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, realtors, a little bit of everybody, anyone who needs my services. And I am always looking to help out. So, like you touched on, Michelle, if you are struggling to find somebody, I have a very wide network of people that I have personally spoken to that I can recommend to you. So if you are trying to sort through the very wild west scene that is looking for online consultants and contractors, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you if I know somebody. If not, I can ask around in my network for somebody that could help you.
Yeah. And we also have, a family business that very much is one of those things where there's a lot of people that find scammers that are like, oh, this person called, they said they were going to come out and then they didn't show up. And thank God we found you. And so we have kind of that background as far as making sure that words are kept. Like if you make a promise, like
Yeah.
you walk the walk.
Yeah.
And so we come from that perspective as well. And that's been a business that's been, it's 35 years old.
Yeah.
So
I think this is a good place to just dive in.
yeah.
So, I mean, where can I start? I use this phrase a lot, as I've mentioned, when I'm on networking calls, when I'm on consults, when I'm talking to clients, because it's the best way for me to sum up the experiences that they describe to me that they've been through. And a lot of that looks like and sounds like, well, I hired this person to do the job, but then they took the money and didn't do the job, or they took the money and didn't really do the job that well, or, well, they promised me they were going to do X, Y, and Z, but they only did X and then I never heard from them again. Or, well, I'm paying them this amount and we look at what they're doing and we realize that the quality of work being put out is not at the level that it should be, especially for the price being paid. And what I usually then will say to those that I'm talking to is I'll kind of walk them through some of the things that I would look for, some suggestions on what to look for people who aren't just talking the talk, because the reason that that's happening even more now is because of these AI generators that people can just type in, I'm the best at this and I want to promote myself, write me this. And then it spits out something, they post it, and people eat it up because they don't know what else to do. They don't know what to look for. Because as I've said probably a ton on this show, when you're a business owner, especially when you're in your first business, you don't necessarily know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have had a great track history of working with people and someone comes along and it all sounds really great, you don't necessarily have a reason not to trust them. But that's where a lot of really good-hearted people are getting burned.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me when you say like the Wild West. It's kind of like when you're walking through, even at the mall, right? And there's all those vendors in the middle, and they're constantly like, "Oh, you want perfume? Let me do your hair. Let me do your hair."
Spray it on you as you're walking by. Yeah.
Right. And it kind of reminds me like that. Like there's so many people online right now. There's so much bullshit online. People are just saying whatever just to get you to come to their website, and yet maybe they're not even a real business.
Yeah.
Or maybe
they're trying to wear
last week.
Yeah, or they're trying to wear you down until you just go, okay, fine, I'll book a call. And that I spoke to someone a couple weeks ago, one of my dear clients, who she's also a family friend, but she was telling me, oh, I gotta run, I gotta hop on this call. This guy wouldn't stop messaging me, so I finally just agreed to get on the phone with him to get him to stop.
Jeez.
What are we doing?
Well, and I mean, and that's the other thing, the Wild West thing is like, if somebody's going in your inbox and they're just hitting you up for something without even trying to get to know you,
Yeah.
flag, hello, red flag. Like, do not message me and say, like, hey, saw your website and these are the things that are wrong with it. Like, screw you. I don't even know you. And
Or they send you a message, you don't answer, so then they just keep sending more every
right.
morning. And I'm like,
I don't mean to be pesky.
right, bumping this to the top of your inbox. I assure you, young sir or ma'am, I saw it and I am not interested, but I'm trying to focus on things that are more important right now.
And
Uh,
I bumped you to the trash.
yeah, to the or to the block folder. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's this is where AI is coming in as well, because I RSVP'd for like a LinkedIn event at some point, and it actually was for somebody that I know. And what was interesting is I was then getting LinkedIn inbox messages clearly by an AI bot, because it was speaking as if this person didn't know me and we've known each other for years. And so that, I mean, how is that misleading people? Number one, especially those that don't understand the capabilities of these, of the technology that can do this. They're thinking, oh, wow, this person's really reaching out to me. No, they're not. And if you sort of are tuned in, you'll pick it up pretty quickly, but that just means that they're specifically preying on those who don't know better.
Right. And
And
that's a
that is
problem.
not ethical.
No, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. So, what are some things? Let's talk a little bit about what are some things, some suggestions on if you're looking for somebody to fill a role, if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for, uh, you know, operations help or whatever the situation. Where do you go? Where's your go-to?
My go-to is always my network, number one, because if someone can say that they've actually worked with somebody, that's a big plus to me. Now, there is a caveat with that as well. We both are on Alignable. And Alignable, if you're not familiar, is a networking platform similar to LinkedIn in the information that you put on it, but different in that Alignable is very much focused on building networking connections that are like genuine connections and
Relationships. Right.
However, I noticed that the caveat there, sorry, my brain froze for a second, is that there are some people who meet with someone once and then just share their name out because they like them. They haven't
Right.
actually seen, their work. They haven't gotten a feel for how they operate. And so there is a caveat to utilizing my network. But the other thing that I do is, especially when I'm talking with somebody, is I like to ask them about how and why they got into the business that they're in, because that tells me a lot. My origin story, so to speak, is that I've literally been doing operations for my entire life since I was a child, and now I
Yes.
do it professionally. Like, it is just ingrained in me. It's what I love to do, what I know how to do. I have a great, great passion for it. And I also do not mind giving information away. Like, when I meet on consults, I'll tell you, like, I'll give you suggestions on what platforms you should use, or what to do for certain things, where to look for certain things, because if someone wants my help, fantastic. If not, I'm not going to leave them in the gutter.
Right.
And so those are some things to look for. Is one, how did they get started? Was it just a get rich quick thing? Did they attend some webinar once and the person promised them that they were going to make a bunch of money? And these are things that people aren't, going to outwardly say, and that's why you have to really listen to how they're describing their origin story.
Yeah.
Listen for those between the lines, which you are a master at. And then really listen to what their ultimate goal is. Is their entire pitch just them boasting about themselves, or are they
Right.
actually showing you knowledge that they have?
Well, and that's so key, because if you're talking to somebody and they go straight into a pitch,
Mm-hmm.
that's another red flag.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that old joke that, can you buy me a drink first? Like,
Yeah.
before you just dive in, can we like get to know each other a little bit?
Right.
Um, and it's fascinating to me. Now, the caveat to that is there are times where I've chosen to work with somebody, whether it was another coach, uh, working with somebody, like collaborating with somebody.
Mhm.
I didn't I didn't do research on the person.
Mhm.
And 98% of the time, I've gone with my intuitive feeling on that, and it's been right. But there have been one or two times where I go, I probably should have dove into a little bit more on the background of whether it was the company or the person, because I realized I didn't know anything about the person.
Yeah. Well, and
Not really.
what's interesting about that too is it's not even, I mean, yes, if you get an inkling, look into them more, but sometimes it's just a matter of, you know what, I really didn't like them. There's something about them that I just
Right.
seemed off to me, but everything
Hmm.
looks good. I mean, I don't, everything looks good on paper, their LinkedIn, their website, everything looks fine, but there's just something about them that just, I don't know. Listen to that. Like the amount of times with even taking on clients that I've said, yeah, I'm not sure this is the right fit, but you know what? I'm going to push forward anyway and we'll work together. It'll be fine. My gut has been right every time. And so that
Hmm.
is an absolute great component to look into it. Now, if you are going through and you're just burning through it, consults with people, and you're like 20 people in and everybody feels wrong, then maybe there's a little bit of internal work to do about, fears with trusting people. That's a whole other thing. Um,
Yeah, because I'll talk to people all the time, and they'll be like, "Well, I have like 5 appointments set up for the same thing," and it's like, "Okay, great. You're gonna have this conversation 5 different times. Maybe you should do some research beforehand, narrow it down to like two, and then have 2 conversations and do it that way." Renee, thank you for the share out, by the way.
yeah, thank you for that.
Um,
I don't necessarily mind having like a list of, a stack of people to interview. And the reason is,
mhm.
especially if you do, let's say, a 3-hour span where you have people back to back, what that's going to do is very quickly clue you into energy. And you're going to very quickly feel the difference
Yes,
between those people. And so you
absolutely.
get on with the first person and they seem okay, but then you get on with the second and third and they blow your socks off. And then the fourth and fifth were okay. That tells you a lot about those people that you met with.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Hey, Raymond. And because, especially because the two R's are here, Renee and Raymond, it brings me to another point. If you are looking for some kind of a practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
and an energetic practitioner, or someone that is going to help you as far as a reading, whether it's a medium or it's Reiki or whatever
Or
it
a
is,
spiritual clearing of some sort.
right? Number one, if
Oh boy.
number one if
Oh
you're
boy.
walking down the street and someone walks out of their shop and says, something made me come out here and stop you. And do you have an aunt on the other side?
Yeah, that's called their camera outside the shop that notified them someone was walking by. That's what did that.
Red flag.
Yeah. Or an
If you
inbox
have,
message that says,
yes,
"Dear beloved, I am drawn to you. Please, I would
yes,
love to do a reading. I
as
only
my
ask
eye
for
starts
donations."
twitching, as my eyes twitching again. Yes, like, make sure that when it, and here, because this is the important part.
Wait, hold on. You're so passionate and there's so much energy coming from you that like your audio is like wobbling. It's hysterical.
Okay. What was I going to say again? No, I'm kidding. When you and my mentor reminded me of this yesterday. If you are working with someone else
Hmm.
or you're meeting with somebody else
Hmm.
and they say, "Hey, can I just send you some energy or can I do some Reiki on you or whatever?" If you don't know that person, you're now letting them into your internal world.
Hmm.
If they're not good people, you're screwed and you're going to need the call in the big guns from the Wild West to come and help save you. So be
Yeah.
mindful and protect your energy. It is your energy. Don't just willy nilly let anybody work on you or read you or whatever. I know we got a little bit off topic from business to
This is
spiritual.
reminding me of we
It all
knew
goes.
somebody we knew somebody not too long ago who they needed some energy clearing at their house, and we have, people that we would highly recommend, but they wanted to find their own people. That's cool. No problem. But the people that they found decided that there needed to be goat sacrifices and I believe chicken sacrifices and all sorts of things that would dabble into other practices, which, I mean, believe in what you want to believe in, but that maybe seemed a little extreme for what they needed, but to
Yeah.
each his own. But anyway, back to more of the business world,
Yes.
because especially, there's a real surge of small businesses right now, which I am so thrilled to see because, and I, again, talked about this before. Uh, Small businesses are absolutely the backbone of human civilization. I mean, it really is
Hmm.
what, we all come from. So
Yep.
I'd love to see that there's such a surge in small businesses. And with that, though, comes a major taking advantage of these small businesses, like I said
Hmm.
earlier. And, I was talking to somebody yesterday. A lot of these, what we call marketing bros and sales bros, um, and that can be women too that fit in that category.
Yeah.
Um, they always tell you need to look for clients that are making such and such amount per month, and it's like, okay, great if that's what you want to target, but who's helping the small businesses? And
Right.
unfortunately what's happening is that's who's getting targeted and falling for a lot of these emails and LinkedIn messages
Hmm.
saying, hey, I'd love to help you with your video editing.
Hmm.
And you might find a diamond in the rough 1% of the time, but the other 99% of the time, chances are you're probably going to get scammed in some sort. And here's the thing that's crazy. They won't even necessarily know that they're getting scammed.
Right. Right. Well, and how about the text messages I keep getting from some strange people
Mm-hmm.
that say, "Hey, we have an online remote job for you. Meet us over at WhatsApp, and then we're going to talk to you about this position." And I know people that have then contacted them and they've said, "Okay, well, you send us $300 and we're going to send you everything you need to set up your office, and you're going to be good to go." If somebody is giving you a job, they're not going to ask you to pay money for the equipment and or the thing. Do not fall for that scam.
Well, absolutely. And here's another thing. Even LinkedIn jobs are not foolproof. LinkedIn jobs
They're
is
not.
probably a lot safer than Indeed, but it's really important for those that are looking for new positions, new roles, new companies, especially when looking for a job, even more than a contractor or consultant of some sort. Because looking for a job, especially if they're asking you to go
Hmm.
somewhere and meet them somewhere, this is where a lot of human trafficking scams are happening, and it's actually very scary. Before you go anywhere, before you share any information about yourself, you absolutely need to be researching the company and making sure that all of the information matches.
Yeah.
Especially if this is some major company that's like, I would even say 500 plus people.
Hmm.
If their I's are not dotted and T's are not crossed, there's a good chance it's not legitimate. And so you really, really have to be careful where you're giving your information away, because there's still people who put their home address on their resumes. you potentially are sending that to someone who God only knows what they're going to do with that information. So you
That's a great
really
point.
have to be so diligent. It's we live in we've come to live in an exponentially scary world, given the way technology has developed and AI and all of that. You have to be diligent.
And if you get an email and you think that it's from your bank or someone that you normally send money to, or Amazon or USPS saying you have a package they can't deliver because they have the wrong address, what you have taught me is to look at the email.
Mm-hmm.
Not just look at it once, look at it a couple different times, put on a couple pair of glasses if I have to make sure that I'm reading that it's the actual company that it's supposed to be coming from and not just like Outlook or red flag AOL. That it's an
It's
actual.
not necessarily a red flag if it's somebody, but the bottom line is if you're getting a notice from some sort of company or organization that you have an account with, if you log in and you don't see any sort of notifications, it's not real. No one's just
Right.
going to send you an email and not have it available in your account for you to also see. That does not mean clicking on the links in the email. It means, so let's say you get something from Bank of America or USPS, whatever it is, that means USPS is probably more picking up the phone and inquiring. Something like your banking account or something like that would be going to the website separately, logging in, and seeing
Yes.
if it says anything. Because any links, I mean, I cannot stress enough how diligent you have to
Do not hit a link in an email unless you are sure that it's from the business that you think it's from. There was a situation that happened 2 weeks ago where a client clicked into, not my client, but a client of someone I know, clicked into a link and paid.
for a
And
certain.
actually, they had duplicated that person's logo and email and even signature and made it look like it was real. And it wasn't.
Diligence, people. Diligence. Now, in
Diligence.
coaching
Rule of
world,
three. We know for me, it's always the rule of three. If you can't find, like, if three things, if it's not like, uh, if you
I
can't
disagree
prove
with you.
it,
I see where you're going here. One thing is enough. It
I
doesn't.
guess, but
Three things.
I'm gonna be careful.
You are already screwed at three things.
Oh, I mean to prove that they're the right people. Like you should look for three different ways that they're who they say they are, is what I'm saying.
It's kind of like the glass is half empty, glass full in a way. You know, in a sense of the way I look at things,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to, a piece of software, working with someone, I'm specifically looking for the red flags. I can convince myself that there's green flags everywhere. I'm looking for the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I'm looking for a new platform piece of software to work with, I'm looking for what's wrong with it. Because I can find the company is providing me with plenty of green flags. I want to know what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
What are the reviews say? What are people and that's what are the lowest reviews saying? What are the pros and cons lists online saying?
Mm-hmm.
What are people saying is wrong with it, not what's good with it, because you can find good for every. Well, even with the email, well, the logo looked right and they had the right link here, and so I just figured you can find green flags anywhere. Look for the red
Yeah.
flags when it comes to
No,
stuff like
that's
this.
it's true. It's
Even when
true.
you're on, a consult with someone, whether it's a consultant or coach, whoever,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna they're gonna know how to say and what to say, and there's techniques and scripts and all sorts of things. Listen for the things in between. Listen for the red flags.
Right. And feel the energy.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean to go into everything negatively. There's a very big difference there. I don't meet with people and go, I'm just gonna look for everything wrong with them. No, big
I'm gonna
difference.
be skeptical.
I'm just being aware and listening
Right.
truly to what's being said. And if there's
Right.
something that I need to ask about or call someone out on, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, in the
I agree.
coaching world, what are some red flags in the coaching world that would maybe indicate would indicate that someone maybe isn't a good fit to work with them, or, maybe they're not as good as they say they are?
I definitely, you gotta look and see if there's some reviews and testimonials.
Absolutely.
Now, just because there's only a few, that doesn't mean that they're bad. It could be that they're newer at being official, right? Because I was a coach for a long time before I had my own business. Um, and you might want to hope that there were a couple, I don't want to say bad reviews, but like truthful,
Yeah.
just truthful and honest, because not everything is 100%.
Yeah. And even bad reviews can be helpful in that you can see how they responded to it.
Yes. And that is so true, because people will take a lot of time to express how they feel when the shit hits the fan. Not everybody will write when they're happy.
Most
And
people
so looking at that and then going, okay, but what was the response? There was some clients that worked with this one coach, and there were reviews that would come in and it would be like, well, but I didn't get, X, Y, and Z. And the response was, I appreciate that. And this is, these are the 4 or 5 things that were asked. And out of those 5 things, you did 2. And so there's also, have to be that there's got to be some discernment on both parts and on your part for reading it. And you don't, one of the biggest things I learned when I was, getting my degree in, public relations was you don't hide a bad review. Like that's unethical. It really is unethical. Now, if it's a scam, like on Instagram and Facebook, sometimes there'll be people that post comments like, oh, well, if you want real help, go over to this account and you can get help by this person. And it's like, okay, well, now
they're posting
right.
reviews too now.
And I'm like, wait a minute, you're using my platform to promote your other person. Well, no, that's going to go. Like, I don't even know who that other person is. And I don't want anyone to think I'm promoting someone else. So there's that too. But it is crazy Wild West. I mean, when you say Wild West, it is absolutely the Wild West out here. And yes, Raymond, email if it's weird, if there's a typo, if the email isn't exactly the person's name, like double
for a second.
check that stuff. Yes.
Back years ago when I was in college.
Yes.
I am a communications major. Was a communications major. Got my bachelor's in communications. The very first thing on the very first day of class of a journalism class that I took, the professor looked at us all and laid down the law of the land and made it very clear. If there are typos, if there are spelling errors, if there's grammar issues, you have lost your credibility. Goes out the window. You can go to my LinkedIn profile, or my Facebook profile for Wicked Wisdom and see I have a whole post about this. Not looking professional. Credibility goes out the window. Graphics that look like they're kind of half-assed done. Credibility goes out the window. There's so many nuances to what we have to look for now in order to determine if someone is legitimate or not. And what's crazy is even those things, sometimes it's just a business owner trying to do it all and making mistakes. And the ones that look too perfect are the ones who are doing everything through AI and chatbots and ChatGPT and blah, 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 blah.
I was just going to say that, but warn you first and go, I know you're passionate about this, but I have heard people actually say one typo makes you look more real than if it's so absolutely and I'm like, so you make a mistake?
If I'm hiring you for a service and you don't know the difference between there, and there, or 2 and 2, or it's an
then,
and then, I'm that tells me enough. Unless it very much is dependent on the service. If you're a
Right.
Reiki master or a tarot card reader, I don't care about your grammar. But if I am trusting you with elements of my business,
Right.
I care.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense.
And I want to go back to the coaching part, because the coaching world is almost even more crazy than the consultant contractor world, because anyone can essentially call themselves a coach. And
Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and say that every coach needs to have a certification, because I don't believe that. I think there are a plenty of absolutely phenomenal coaches who are great at what they do, that have a lifelong journey and of experiences that have set them up to be able to do that. And they probably have some unofficial training on how to work with people.
Yes.
But it is so important to choose a coach that feels right for you.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. I worked with a coach who I knew was not the right fit, but someone recommended her, and it seemed fine enough. And was it fine? Sure, it was fine. But did I get everything out of it that I would have liked to? No.
Right.
Not at all. Was there anything wrong with her as a coach? Absolutely not. She's a phenomenal coach for those who are a fit to work with her.
Right.
I was not a fit.
I will say that, I thought long and hard about whether I was going to get certified, because many people and other coaches said you don't need to get certified. Like, you're already doing it. I wanted to do it because, and maybe it was because I'm from healthcare too, there are certain ethical things that I wanted to make sure that I stayed within the boundaries of.
Yeah.
Because coaching, therapy, and this came up yesterday in a meeting, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I am not a therapist. I don't play one on TV. Like, I'm very much about coaching, which is all about moving forward. And that would not have been so solidified in my mind if I had not gone and gotten certified and taken this long course. I mean, and to get certified, and we had to practice, and we had to practice with, their coaches and their professionals, and they gave us feedback, and, you can say this, you should not ever say this. And so there's certain things that's important.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with people's like emotions and inner feelings, and there should be agreements of non-disclosure, and that's the other thing, there should be agreements.
Yeah. Oh,
there
yeah.
should, there should be agreements, because what you talk about
Don't get me started on agreements.
because what you talk about needs to be between you and that coach, or you and that operations person, or you and that whoever, and there should be some privacy there, and you should be able to trust that.
Yeah.
And now if the person's been referred to you, if the person, them, then that's a different thing.
I disagree. No matter what, if you are exchanging money of some sort, there needs to be an agreement.
Well,
There's some of my clients are family friends. We have agreements before anything gets started. They sign an agreement with me, because I want to set clear boundaries. Because here's what happens, especially when you work with people that whether it's you're getting coached by them, they're providing some sort of service, whatever it is. If you do not set that solid foundation, you're opening yourself up for issues. You're opening yourself up to not follow your normal process, which either A, this means they're not going to get the results they want because you didn't follow the process. B, things are not going to be set up the way that they need to be because you didn't follow your normal process. Things are going to fall through the cracks because you didn't follow your normal process. And the worst case scenario is there's some sort of issue. You have nothing in writing to prove one way or the other, and now your relationship is ruined because each of you are arguing against each other without any sort of backing either way.
Yeah.
Both of you feel that you're correct, versus 2 minutes of uncomfortableness. I mean, it really doesn't even have to be.
No.
But 2 minutes of uncomfortableness of, here's my agreement. It just sets a solid foundation for us, explains how my services work, what I expect from you, what you can expect from me.
Mhm.
There's no question. There's
Right.
no issue. Something comes up in the future. Well, if you remember in our agreement, if you look at this passage, this is what we talked about in the beginning. The non-issue.
Mhm.
Relationship continues on as it always does. So yeah, I even more so with family and friends, I think it's crucial to have agreements.
And that goes for anything from landscaping, as we know, proposals and signed agreements, all the way through COOs, fractional or otherwise,
The place
and
where there's
coaching.
wiggle room, I would say, is things like tarot readings, or a reading with a medium, or Reiki sessions, or stuff like that. You really don't need necessarily an
Take,
agreement for
take
it. If you do, fantastic.
right. Take what resonates and leave the rest. That's the bottom line with that. And this is not a fortune teller, and you should and even the online
Hold on.
tarot readers.
Stop. I need to set a very, very abundantly clear disclaimer right now. Nothing said on this podcast is legal advice, is any sort of anything. I am just sharing my thoughts and opinions. We both are, based on our experiences. We are
Yes.
not responsible for any actions taken after watching this. So just go ahead.
Do not take the information that you hear and run your life by something that someone told you versus how you feel. Just because, you know, I I listen to a certain podcaster that does readings, and he's very clear. I am not telling you to quit your job. I'm just telling you to be mindful of some things that may be going on around you, and there may be some changes. Like,
Right.
he's very specific about that.
Well, and
Um,
that's the nuance, and I find it pretty funny thing with things like tarot readings, or Akashic record readings, and all of these things, is so much of it is based on interpretation. And this is going to be a little bit of like a side set from the topic. So much of it is based on interpretation.
yeah,
So, something like, I see, a new person, let's say you're a woman that's single, a new man is going to be coming in, and you say, well, I did just, have a thing with a guy a couple months ago. Is it that guy? No, I think this is a new guy. Looking at that, you're like, oh, I'm sure that means it's a new guy. Or is it the old guy who's made a lot of changes and feels like a new guy? Or
true.
I see a new job coming in. Does that mean a career change? Does that mean motherhood? Does that mean caregiving for your parents? Does that
A
mean becoming
promotion.
a dog mom, or an animal mom? Like, so there is nuance there.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
interpretations to a lot of these things that you absolutely have to take into consideration.
I love when I hear mine, and I get the well,
Death
there's
card. People get scared, and I'm like, the death card is awesome.
the death card is
That's
awesome.
in
It
my
just means
first.
that there's some change, and yeah. But the you have love coming in for you. Well, I'm married. So what let's see. And what was so interesting is when the person that I listened to was saying, but that can just mean like
Mhm.
something that you love. So it could be like a new career or a new change in your career. It doesn't have to be a new person that, a new friend or something like that, or a new hobby. It doesn't have to mean like, you
Romantic.
know, right. Like, you're not going to cheat. Uh, it's just
Right.
crazy. Um, but the bottom line, I think, to this whole conversation is you have to use your intuitive discernment.
Yeah.
You have to do your due diligence. You have to check things out. Sometimes you do have to pull up Better Business Bureau and take a look.
They're not very accurate anymore. You can't
Well,
really depend on that. But
all
look at
right.
reviews.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the other thing. When in doubt, ask someone that you trust for their feedback,
Yeah,
their perspective on it. That doesn't mean ask 20 people, because 20 people is just going to make it even worse, because now you're even more confused.
right.
But if you have one or two people, preferably if you're going to ask two people, you might as well go with opposite personalities. That's what I personally like to do.
Yeah,
Um,
good point.
and just get their thoughts and opinion, because it's also can be very difficult to make a decision and see everything from your one isolated perspective. So someone may know something that you don't, or they can see it from a different bird's eye view than you can. So that can be really helpful too in these processes. And even if you're looking for someone to help you with your business or whatever it is, that trusted person, there's no reason that, have them sign a quick confidentiality clause and have them join you on your consult, and have them give you an external opinion. That's perfectly fine. If you don't feel like you can choose the best person, there's nothing wrong with asking for help to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the majority of people that you can trust are going to say to you, like, if I don't feel that this is a fit, I'm not going to work with you, because I want to work with people that I like and that like me and that we have a good relationship with.
Mhm.
And that's a big, big, big deal.
Yeah.
Not everybody is a fit for everybody else. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Where can they find you, Michelle?
I can be found at mokshagrace.com. And tomorrow we are talking about more about life transitions. And tomorrow's conversation is about career.
On
Uh,
Moment of Presence.
very, what?
On Moment of Presence.
On Moment of Presence. Thank you for keeping me in line, because I'm not in the Wild West, at 12 p.m. And also, the Odonata community is for those that want a little bit of coaching but don't want a long term agreement, unless they do. It gives you the option of picking and choosing, and it's more of a subscription. So you join for the month and you come every week, and it's a group call. We talk about what we talk about. I'll have a topic, or we'll talk about what's happening right now with that person, and then I'll move on to the next person. There's some activities, some assignments that may be given, depending again on what is going on with the group. But it is a community, and it's a great place for people that have never been coached,
Mhm.
or that don't want to sign up for like this 3-month long program. I have that too. But this is a little bit of a way to dabble, to get to know coaching and to feel comfortable with coaching.
Yeah. And have that community that goes along with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that
Around like-minded
below,
people.
that
Yes, that is the link to sign up.
Yeah.
I guess I was talking over you. I apologize.
That's okay. I just don't want if we both talk at the same time, then no one can understand us. So not a big deal.
Yeah, that's pretty true. I would like to say thank you for those that joined us today.
I haven't signed off, so if you want to hold on for a second, that would be great. Everyone can find me at wickedwisdomconsulting.com. You can see a full list of my services on the services page. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook. If you need any help with your business at all, I'm sure it's on my services page. So check it out. I have a free consult that is also on my website, or you can message me on LinkedIn, or, I'm here. Comment, and I'll get in touch with you.
And I know that you wanted to do a quick shout out. I know I want to do a quick shout out. Your shirt.
Oh yeah. So I'm wearing you can't really see it, but if you like foxes and animal rescues and stuff, check out Juniper Fox on Facebook and Instagram. She is awesome and does really amazing work with foxes like this one.
And Krista has done her due diligence, and they're real, and it's a
They're
real
actually not
place.
They're in North Florida. They actually just got hit by the hurricane. They haven't had power for like a week.
Eesh. And I want to give a big shout out to Spirit Mechanics, because if you ever need any kind of help or need to know who to go to for certain things, definitely go over to Spirit Mechanics and they will definitely, yeah, there's the spelling because it's a little bit different. They're very professional. If they can help, they will help. And if they know someone that can help you in a different way that you need, they will refer you. And they have a huge network of people. And these are the only people that I would trust to refer me to other people in the spiritual world and readers and all of that.
I would also like to say spiritual / metaphysical world, because
Yes, you
spiritual
know,
may only put them in a certain box.
yes, we don't want to do that. So definitely spiritual journey, metaphysical world, and also paranormal investigations.
I think that'll do it for today's episode.
I think so too. We will see you next week.